fuck am I looking, dude? There it is.
We're live, brother.
We are live, baby. Let's go. We are back. Philly Blitz Pod number 73.
73? It's 73 or 74?
It says 73 up at the top. You're the one who put it, so you tell me.
Wait. This
You
is
mess up the
live
numbers
TV.
again. Nate
Wait,
Smith,
let me
episode 69, man.
Let me check.
It's the same reason.
Okay, this is 73. This is 73.
Oh my God, bro. All right.
73.
We are right. 73. I'm trying to think of a famous 73 on the Eagles.
Was I the same model as 73?
I don't
remember. I'm not going to look it up. It sounds like a lot to look up. I'm Parth. I'm here with Pierre and Quell. We are discussing the Rams, Pierre's little brother's team, usually in the live. So let him know how that's going to go for him. How you guys doing today, man?
Good, man. I'm good, man. This is our first time back recording / streaming since the Eagles win last week over the Commanders. We didn't really get a chance to talk about that, but it was a very good game. I know there was the scare in the first half with Jalen's injury, but the bright point per usual over the last couple of weeks, the defense, they shine, and we're ready for Week 12.
Yes, sir. Well below dub to those who celebrate. It is I, the one and only Marquell Fripp Owens. And like you said, man, it pretty steady football game. Defense took care of business. I mean, what can you really say? The Commanders' offense that was high-powered heading into that game. I mean, of course, they had a few struggles against Pittsburgh the week prior, but we've known up to this point in the season they were one of the better offenses. And the Eagles' defense kind of stagnated them. I've seen some Commanders fans put it as the Eagles' defense, and Vic Fangio kind of exposed him. But it's funny, since we're on the topic of the Commanders, I'm not sure if you guys seen the video of, this is for you. He was talking to you, Parth, where where Cliff was actually asked about his offense is falling off, or the statistic about his offense is falling off in the second half of seasons. And he was like, I'm not really quite sure what you're talking about. I'll have to look into it. But right now, I have no plans to make any changes about whatever you're talking about. So
we lost him. Arrogant. Cliff Kingsbury, Kyle Shanahan, all these offensive geniuses. Arrogant. Fraud.
There's no way he doesn't know about it's it's been a trend everywhere he goes.
No, he's being purposefully obtuse. He's just like, oh yeah, I don't know about that, brother. You know damn well that every season you guys start off the season looking great, and then by the time Week 10 comes around, you guys go downhill. Like it's not some like crazy mystery. You have experienced it. Like
that's when the new what is it? The Call of Duty.
I know
drops.
we all blame Kyler. I blame Kyler. I was like, oh, the Call of Duty comes out. Kyler sucks. Kyler's played well after Call of Duty came out. Cliff Kingsbury has struggled after Call of Duty came out. So who is the real streamer? That's my question.
Yeah, I might be asking the right questions that Washington may ask sooner or later. But in the meantime, you guys, any more thoughts on the whole Washington game? I mean, like you said, we hadn't talked about it. I guess we can give it a couple moments to touch on.
I think hopefully the next game we play, what is that? That's
December 22nd.
Mid-December, right before end of December, actually. I hope there's juice on it again, man, because that was a fun game. That was just like a lot of fun. Started off a little bit like, okay, are we gonna like just kind of struggle through this as some of these Eagles games do? And then they caught their stride. Vic's defense, I mean, it comes every week. We have a question like, all right, are they going to keep this up? Now they're the number one defense in the league. I mean, they are playing at such a high level. It's really just kind of hard to believe given what we expected coming in from the offseason. Everyone just kind of thought, hey, offense has the Justice League, as they posted today. They got the Justice League on offense. Defense just has to be good enough to keep us in games. And now this has felt a lot like even the Chiefs, where you have like this like talented offense. You have talent on offense, but your team is just kind of being held in games by your defense, and then your offense just kind of has to do enough. So it's funny, the flip of the script, but man, it's fun to watch. I'll tell you that much. They come out here and they know what they're doing. They're passing stuff off. They have such a good understanding of covering players, not field. And I think that's just what differentiates them from other defenses. And I was just kind of thinking about that today, where you see all these other versions of the I'm not going to say what type of versions of the Fangio defense because we are live, but
is that really a bad word?
I think it is. I think it is. I don't know. You
say ass. There's nothing
bastard
wrong with bastard ass.
I don't know. All right. Well, we're canceled now. So the bastardized defense, but I just think it comes down to them not fundamentally understanding what they're teaching. And Vic understands it, and he's a good teacher. So the players just understand what they're supposed to be covering and who they're supposed to be covering. What the concepts are, what's going to be coming at them, and I think that's just so super impressive to watch, especially just after some of the secondaries and defenses we've watched and linebackers. Just wanted to mention, dude, Jalen Carter has been playing every snap, dude. Like, I mean, it's just.
I think it was just this week, but
there was one more week. I think he played almost every snap as well. I mean,
yeah, it's been trending.
Like
the fact that he's been playing in 90%
exactly
is crazy in the first place.
D-tackle. And for comparison, Jordan Davis has played, and this is not me just ragging on him. This is just other first-round D-tackle. Jordan Davis has played 53% of the snaps. And Jalen Carter is playing, close to 100% of the defensive snaps. So I just think that deserves some commendation. And brother, he took over that game at some point, just throwing around guards and stuff. I mean, he's showing that dominance that we've all kind of come to expect. Maybe it was a little bit unfair to expect so much so early, but now he's kind of proving that, hey, it wasn't that unfair. He has all this ability. And yeah, it's pretty amazing to watch. What do you guys think?
Yeah, first of all, shout out Cliff in the chat, making himself known. Appreciate you for tapping in, brother. But to your point, I think the biggest thing is, like, heading into this season, a lot was made about Vic and his scheme. And I think, what we've noticed over the last couple of weeks since they've kind of had this, I guess, revitalization of sorts, has been just to me at least, is just his game playing. Like, you talked about him as a teacher, like just how prepared every facet of the defense looks, from, the front four to the linebackers, the secondary, like the communication aspect. Everything is so, like, in sync and, like, well put together. I think that's the biggest thing that stuck out for me.
And kind of to harp on what you just said, Pierre, the game planning is the biggest part. Like, we've had this conversation for years about this scheme, and whatever Parth just said the version was this week, can or cannot say it. We'll get that figured out. But the best thing that I love about Vic is you going to at least for me, scouting and looking into the teams that we face, what Vic likes to do defensively, historically, and how he could attack these teams. The one thing that I find myself noticing week to week is, at least the differences from last couple years, is I'm not just basing it off scheme. We all know the bread and butter of the scheme: prevent big plays, keep everything in front of you, make tackles, things of that nature. But from week to week versus the different offenses we see, you see a different version of this defense. It's kind of like what you just said a second ago, Parth, with the whole Jordan Davis playing 50% of the snaps. I wanted to say, but I let you cook. I think a lot of that was, it kind of comes down to usage, game plan, schematics of that week. Maybe replacing against one like last week against Washington. How I said last week, Washington likes to run a bunch of wonky personnel. They're not just a straight 11 personnel kind of team like we probably see this week. But that's a Jordan Davis game. You got to get that bigger body in just in case they try to run the ball, things of that nature. But then you start having the conversations of, are you going to utilize those 3D tackles we talked about? Are you going to basically, how can you keep Cooper DeJean on the field? And I do think, like we've said, that's the big thing. Him having the ability to keep Cooper on the field for all of these plays allows him, between Cooper and there's a conversation to be had that between Cooper and Jalen, who's the most important piece of this defense, because both players allow him to do a lot of different things. We talked about the marriage from front to back. It starts with those two.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Just looked it up real quick though, because I've just been curious. I've I've been watching Jordan Davis because my brother and I argue about that all the time. And look, he's done well in what he does. My whole argument has always just been like utilization of resources for a first round pick, but we don't need to get into all of that. But Jordan played
not again.
I know. Jordan played 26 snaps and Jalen played 66. It's just, I mean, it just really blows my mind how much Jalen Carter's playing. And the dude's a D tackle. Like, these are just like crazy. There's no D tackles in the league that play every snap like this. Like, it's just extremely rare. I mean, there's maybe two with Dexter and Chris Jones, right? That would be playing that number of snaps. So we've all known that they got something in him. It's being confirmed more and more, and he is going to come up huge in the playoffs. When teams
I say the most impressive part about it is just kind of like, again, and crazy that we having to continue to bring Jordan Davis into this. But even when you think about over in Green Bay, what they doing with Devontae Wyatt, or in Jacksonville, how they utilize Trayvon Walker. Like, these are good football players, but these aren't football players that were utilized on an every snap basis during their time at Georgia. So to see how even once they got to the league, their teams continue to rotate them, and then there's Jalen Carter, how he seems to be the difference. Yeah. It's cool to see, man.
Absolutely.
And I also think situation plays into that, because I mean, if you listen, I don't remember if it was after the game or it was the presser, I think Wednesday, when he talked about Jalen playing 100% of the snaps, and he was like, "What's the difference between, what did he say, 90 and 100 or something like that?" Yeah. So like, also, like I said, just the situation he's in. Also, I think that's the difference from the other teams you outlined, Quell.
Kid's just special too. I mean, he was the best player on that defensive line, and everyone knew it. And it's great to see him doing all that. But as we're talking about Georgia in the last game, I also wanted to give a shout out to Nolan Smith. You know, big sack in that game, and it was cool. You know, the first player he hugs is BG, right? And I was just kind of thinking about this last year on the pod when we drafted Nolan. We all just talked about, he's like a Hassan Reddick clone and all these types of things. But he's kind of mentioned,
I'm sorry. We also mentioned, and they did mention this, there was something that stood out. He was the Hassan Reddick clone in terms of the prospect, but that energy,
the play style,
energy.
He's BG, bro. He's BG. He just never gives up on the play. His sacks come like just from pure effort, bro. Like, it's not necessarily he's gonna beat you with some crazy move like Hassan, but it's effort. And in the run game, he's a force, and you have to appreciate that. The kid plays his ass off every snap, and I really appreciate just like watching him grow.
I think for Nolan, you can also kind of tell like the game is kind of slowed down for him. Like, he looks way faster and way like more engaged and everything like that.
The whole defense, just they're playing so much faster, and that goes to Vic being a good teacher. Yeah.
And like you talked about, like the biggest thing with him, of course, is the motor, and just the overall athleticism that he plays with. And I think like we've kind of seen him take that to an even higher level this year. He's having a career. I think he has 4 sacks, 3 sacks,
3.5.
I think it might be 3.5.
3.5.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else on the Washington game?
Yes, actually. Shout out to the dad. Stick a fork in him.
I do want to see Jaden looked injured. So it'll just be. I want to see them just
conversation. I understand. I mean, especially with us having Jalen Hurts as our quarterback, we understand the conversation of like what 100% Jalen Hurts look like.
Oh, of course. I'm not saying like the results would have been like super different or anything like that.
No.
Yeah, I'm just saying from the perspective of like I want to see that matchup, right? Like that. It's fun to watch, dude. And he just missed a lot of throws. I was surprised.
Yeah,
he's just missing stuff. So.
That's what happens.
Brown.
That's what happens.
Noah Brown. We just threw it at his feet. I was like, "Oh, that was bad."
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of.
That's what happens when you play a Vic Fangio defense for the first time in your career, brother.
True.
Welcome to the show. Well, no, one more thing on the Washington game. What was you guys' panic level when y'all saw Jalen Hurts go into the tent?
I mean. I was like, well, he looks concussed.
Bro, I don't like I don't know if it happened on the trick play or the play down in the red zone, but like
I think it
just
was
a
the trick play, but at first I didn't even think he was. It was after that I was like, maybe he's concussed. But at first, I honestly didn't think it was like head thing. I thought what it looked like is he got turf in his eye when he got hit down. It looked like he was trying to get something out of his eye. So that's what my assumption was at first. But then he took another big hit, and it was just 2 hits with the whiplash, where it was just like, oh boy, like that didn't look fun.
Brother, I was at the sports bar when I was watching the game. I was like, bro, if I gotta watch Kenny Pickett snaps, I will leave right now.
I was sick, dude. I was like, not Mr. Two Gloves, bro.
No,
And
bro,
anything but
nasty.
Kenny Two Gloves, bro.
Nasty work.
Nasty work indeed. Offense is figuring it out. Well, let's talk about the injuries this week. As we move on to the Rams, because I know Devontae's missed 2 days of practice this week, right? With the hammy.
Give me 1 second.
What's your level of concern with that? I mean, I know he was limited last week heading into the Washington game. He was also limited a bit heading into the Dallas game, and we all chalked it as they got the short week, things of that nature. Now here we are. They had a 10 days rest, and he still limited some. What's your guys' level of concern?
I don't love it. I think he's the type of guy who's going to try to play. But I don't know. The fact, like you just said, Quell, like the fact that they've had 10 days off, and he's not off, but like, 10 days in between games, and he's still, not participating. I don't know, because he, like you said, he was limited before he was DNP. So that definitely raises signals. It'll just be interesting to see what they end up doing. But hey, if he doesn't play, at least Jalen has thrown the ball to Jahan Dotson. So,
and so we're in this weird situation where we kind of expected them to elevate or renew Britton Covey's practice. His roster status.
They opened up his practice window.
Right, he's been a full participant over the last couple of days, so we expected him to be back. Now the question is that the Devonta replacement, like him and Jahan, are your expected wide receivers 2 and 3, or is it just because he's coming to back to be your punt returner?
So first, I'll respond to your Devontae question. I think there is reason for concern, just like the reason, like you guys outlined, like it's been 10 days and he was limited before, and now he's missed 2 days of practice. And then with hamstrings, you guys are former athletes, y'all know like they're extremely tricky, very very easy to aggravate. But I think we'll know more tomorrow. As always on Fridays, you get the game designation, so I think we'll know more. But like you said, Quell, if he can't go, I think that leaves Jahan to step up, and we've seen him get more acclimated into the offense over the past 2 games. So I think I'm not gonna say there's less reason for concern, but we at least know that Jalen is willing to throw the ball to Jahan.
One thing about that though is I think tomorrow Devontae just shows up as questionable. Nick Sirianni, gamesmanship, all that type of stuff. I don't know if we'll know whether he'll play until game time, frankly. They're just gonna keep playing we don't want them to know. Which something like this that is valid. That one I'll give them. That one you can't really put a gamesmanship with. But let's get it.
I can get into injuries. Yeah. So you outlined for the Eagles, Devontae Smith, he missed practice on Wednesday and today dealing with a hamstring. Milton Williams, he didn't practice on Wednesday. He was limited today with a foot injury. Jalix Hunt, he also missed practice on Wednesday. He was limited today with an ankle. N'Kobe Dean, he was limited on Wednesday with a groin injury, but he was a full participant today. And then Jalen Hurts, he popped up on the injury report. I know last week there was the weird exchange he had about the ankle, and then he's saying it was just rest, but apparently it actually was an injury. He was limited with an ankle injury on Wednesday, but he was a full participant today. Now Jalen, he spoke this week and he said it was part of their lower body strengthening program during the mini bye. It's all a part of the team's plan to kind of get him to the playoffs healthy. Get him into as the playoffs looms, get him there healthy. And I didn't know this, or at least I didn't realize it, but he's never gone into the playoffs like at any point in his career fully healthy. Like 2021, he had the sprained ankle. 2022 was the shoulder. 2023, I think there was an ankle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't know that. That was shocking to me.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, maintenance is the is the name of the game. He's looked healthy, like you said, this year, and it was weird because what?
Do it look like it was injured?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was about to say. Like Nick says the thing about his injury, but Jalen looked explosive and looked faster than he did last year when he was injured. So yeah, whatever. As long as they're just taking care of it, I don't really care. Just don't make stupid headlines about it. you know.
And then for the Rams, offensive lineman Rob Havenstein, he didn't practice on Wednesday, but he was limited today with an ankle. Cornerback Kobe Durant, he was limited on Wednesday, full participant. He's dealing with a thigh injury. Joe Notebloom, offensive lineman, he was limited on Wednesday, but he was a full participant today. He's dealing with an ankle injury. Neville Gallimore, he's dealing with a neck injury. He was limited on Wednesday, but full participant today. KT, I don't want to butcher his name, Leviston, offensive lineman, he's been a full participant. He's been dealing with an ankle injury. And then their starting guard, Kevin Dotson, I think they acquired him from Pittsburgh before the season started. He hasn't practiced all week. He's had some sort of illness. It's not specified what it is.
Man, hope he's okay. I mean,
Yeah.
nobody wants to be sick. But so, I mean, how you guys feeling about the game heading into this Sunday night matchup? It's different, I must say. I mean, it's worth noting the Eagles haven't lost to the Rams, and
Oh, wait. Also, I can't believe we didn't talk about this. Bryce Huff, he had surgery on his wrist today.
I can believe that we haven't talked about it, but
According to, if you let Vic Fangio tell it, he was playing with 4 fingers, bro. His thumb was immobile. He had a cast on the thumb and he had cast on the hand, and
yeah, we
that's
know
the reason
what
why
the
he
thumb
wasn't.
can do. We know what the thumb can do from Hassan. Remember, he got the cast off, and then all of a sudden his passionless juice was back. It remains to be seen with Bryce Huff, but hope he has a quick recovery and he can make it back this season because we'll definitely need depth in the postseason.
pass rush area, yeah, definitely, man. In the meantime, hopefully we can get to see some real Jalen Hunt snaps.
Mm-hmm.
This is something you guys know I'm very excited for. Hopefully he makes the most of his opportunity. Didn't expect the opportunity to come this early, but you know, man, when opportunity come knocking, you better do the thing. You know what Jalen Hurts says: duty don't call every day. So, but just in general, how you guys feeling about the matchup, man? The Sunday night matchup. The Eagles haven't lost in LA, I believe they said, since 1977. They've won 4 straight against the Rams. What's the level the level heading into this matchup, man?
I'm excited. I think it's going to be fun. This is like one of those matchups that I saw at the beginning of the year, and I was like, this is going to be fun. You know, there's not many teams that have a 1-2 punch at receiver like the Eagles. The Rams come close, and I just think that's going to be such a fun matchup to watch against our secondary, especially the way that they've been playing recently. It is interesting though, the Rams were playing pretty well without Puka, and then Puka got back, and it kind of and it's not. I'm not saying it's because of Puka, but things have just kind of been a little bit slower.
What you mean?
So
I don't know about that, brother.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah.
Talking
Talking about the team that won 4 out of their
game.
last 5 games.
Huh?
You're talking about a team that won 4 out of their last 5
They
games.
won 4 of their last
5
games, but I don't think their offense has looked as smooth as it has earlier in the season. I think they've also benefited from playing some not great teams in the last couple of weeks. I just think they were playing a little bit freer with it's a balancing game, right? When you have 2 receivers like this, you want to make sure you get Puka the ball. Just like, we hear Jalen on the sideline. I need to make sure I get, Devontae the ball here, those types of things. I don't know. Personally, I thought I saw some forcing when I was watching some of the Rams recently. But at the end of the day, they're 2 damn good receivers, right? So they can still make things work. They have a great offensive mind. They have a good quarterback. I think it'll be fun to watch. Their defense has also been pretty good. I expected their defense just to be garbage this year, honestly, after AD retired, but they haven't been by any means the dominant unit that they were with AD, but they've been a decent unit.
Huh? About that. Look, man. Look, we can get to the juice. What side of the ball y'all want to start on? Because I'm excited to
Wait,
talk about the Rams.
can I get my opinion on the game, man?
Hey, go ahead.
Don't even get it because
Talk
Claude
about
just
that,
wants to
man.
say, nah. It's not true.
No,
Hey, you wasn't cooking over there, brother.
I'm telling you, man. I'm not the only one who says
you know what I
this.
mean. You know what I mean. Who let him cook? Get him off the grill. Oh, man. But no, man, I'm excited heading into this game, man. Like I was just doing some research before we got on. There's a lot of crossover between these two teams. Like
Yes.
Chris Shula, him and Sirianni, I think they were both on the Charger staff, if I'm not mistaken. They're really good friends. The Eagles even interviewed Shula for their defensive coordinator position before they hired Sean Desai, who is also now on the Rams staff. So there's a lot of crossover between the two. I'm excited to see the coaching matchup between Fangio and McVay. I always go back to, I think it was it 2021 or 2022 when McVay, Kyle Shanahan, and who was the other coach? There was one other coach that ESPN interviewed, and they asked him who was the toughest
They asked
defensive
McDaniels
mind.
that same interview too.
Yeah.
It was a
Who
couple. I
was
think
it?
it was 4 guys. I can't remember. Hold on, I had it in my notes somewhere.
Yeah, but they asked him who was the toughest defensive mind in the league to go up against, and unanimously, all of them said Vic Fangio. And if you remember back in I think 2019, when Fangio was with the Bears, I think the Bears played the Rams on Sunday Night Football, and Fangio's defense held McVay's offense to their lowest offensive output of the season. And then it's been said a bunch, but the Patriots utilized the same recipe in a Super Bowl against them and won. So it'll be interesting to see just the overall matchup between the two coaches.
Definitely, man. That's in the coaching matchup. I think is where everything. I don't want to say with everything, because the on the field matchup, particularly what's going to happen, like you mentioned, Parth at wide receiver and cornerback on their front and our front. It's a lot of things that is really juicy about this game, but the coaching matchup specifically, because I mean, it's well known. We talked about it for like what was it, the first six weeks of the season, because we played against these Shanahan offenses. They struggle against Vic Fangio, and I mean, even with the Eagles defense not looking as good as it does now prior to the bye, we've seen a couple games against some of those Fangio. I mean, those Shanahan S systems disciples where it was like, man, that brother's struggling over there. I mean, we are too, but they struggling over there.
So we don't want to start. Let's get into our defense versus their offense.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. So just as we do every week, I'll give a little bit of an overview, then I'll kick it to you guys. So Rams offense is kind of what you come to expect from Sean McVay. A lot of motion, heavy 11 personnel usage, a lot of bunch sets, play action. But just from what I've seen, it's less of the horizontal attacking, and it's kind of a more vertical approach, both in the pass and the run game. Their offensive line, they rank 19th in pressures allowed. They also rank 19th in ESPN's pass blocking win rate. Matt Stafford this year, he's also struggled tremendously when he's been pressured. Out of 36 qualifying quarterbacks, he ranks 34th in EPA per play. I think for the Eagles, this offense is kind of different than any offense that they faced this year. Like you outlined, Parth, not many offenses have the duo of receivers that the Rams do. I know with Puka, they kind of move him around a lot. Like they line him up outside in the slot in the backfield. They motion him in some insane ways. Cooper Kupp, he lines up both outside and in the slot. And just in totality, the Rams, their offense, they rank 13th in EPA per play, EPA per drive, 16th in EPA per play, and 12th in offensive DVOA. But I think again for the Eagles, this is probably going to be the toughest matchup that they're going to face all season, just in terms of the weapons. If you look at Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, and Kyron Williams, when they're all healthy, and in the lineup, this was an interesting stat that I saw over the last 2 seasons. When all of those guys are healthy, they rank number 1 in yards per play and explosive play rate. So, yeah, it's something to watch.
I think that matches up well with the Eagles, given how they've been doing against explosive plays. But I think I still stand by what I said before, because I was looking at the stats from the last couple of games. they've in the last 4 games, right? They've played Minnesota. That was a pretty good win. And then you have the Seahawks. They beat in OT. They lost to Miami. Their offense did not play well against
bro.
Miami.
That was a
Miami, bro. Miami.
Whatever that
pressured
defensive
them
game
crazy.
Plan, that defensive game plan
Crazy.
was masterful.
Yeah.
That was
D2A.
they said that he was a
Yeah,
he one of them you know,
Baltimore.
yeah, Baltimore, Jesse Minter. He come from that same coaching tree. So
that's the way you play. That's the way you play defense, brother.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, they put up 15 points, and in that game, you know, Puka had what? Let me see. I had it right here. He had 9 for 14 for 98, but they just could not get in the end zone. It was just they could not score. They would get to the red zone and then stall out. So looking at it, fine, they can put up numbers. I think the offense looks like, you look through the stats, they look good, but I don't buy how good the stats look right now. Just given the competition, they almost lost to the Patriots last week. I
can't disrespect what the final score looks like, but
yeah, I mean, they won. They won at the end of the day.
That was a Sean McVay decision. It seems like Josh Carty has been having some issues in the kicking department, because they could have essentially finished that game if he kicked that field goal on the it was like a 4th and 3 or something like that. But he decided to he decided to punt, and it was like, I mean, the Patriots go down and score in this drive, and now we're looking like a ball game. But
yeah, they've been all over the place, because Matt Stafford has had, you know, QBRs from 90 to 30. You know, he's had 2 games with a QBR
30.
30. He had 32.
Inconsistent.
30 is crazy.
I'm gonna throw you a oop, Parth. Just prior to last week against the Patriots, he done had an interception in 6 consecutive games. Like, he ain't been good, brother.
You look at the stat log; it's 1-1-1-1-1 in the interception. Like, it's crazy. So he had 32.9 QBR against the Las Vegas Raiders, and then 34.4 against.
That's nasty.
That's disgusting.
And 55
against the Raiders.
55 against the Bears. 30
against the Raiders.
The Bears make sense. The Bears, they're competent defense. The Raiders is disgusting. That's nasty.
Is Patrick Graham still there, DC?
I don't think so. I'm not sure.
I don't remember.
Give me 45 seconds.
That's disgusting.
Nasty work. So
I also saw a stat. I can't remember the exact statistic, but the Rams, I think it's like they're like 5-2 when they turn the ball over, or 2-5 or something like that.
He's only since Puka got back, he's only had a QBR over 90 once. And before, when Puka was out, that was like the same thing. So it's really not actually. No, he was oh my God. I didn't even get his worst one. Oh my God, bro. QBR of 27.6 against the Cardinals. Johnny
Gans.
Hey man, Johnny Gannon and them boys look good right now.
If Jonathan Gannon took McVay's lunch money like this, I hate to see what Vic Fangio's
look, man. I don't know if you guys watching what's going on in Arizona, specifically defensively, offensively too. I ain't gonna do that.
No, I'm wishing on
he let his coordinators cook. I can tell you that. He let his coordinators cook, and it's kind of fun to watch them. They putting their young boys spin on the game. I can say that. But I mean, don't get me wrong, Parth. You have a fair argument with the Rams. That I don't look at anyone crazy who thinks that this team hasn't been performing up to par. I mean, it's a team that started, like I said, they started 1-4, 1-4 out of their last 5. Now it gets interesting because this Rams defense has allowed under 23 points in 5 straight games. On the other side, the offense has scored 26 plus points in 3 of their last 4. So it's kind of like they're getting hot at the right time. Now, kind of like we're saying about our part in terms of this probably be the most interesting matchup. We're the most interesting matchup they'll face up to that point. Where it's like, all right, you've been playing decent, but what will you do against this? But I mean, kind of like you guys said about the wide receiver situation, it's a tale of 2 coins, honestly, if you ask me. And I'm interested to see how they play it against Philadelphia, because when you look at Kupp and Puka, that's exactly where the offense starts. We all know about how we feel about the Eagles and their heavily reliance on Devontae and AJ and things of that nature. Brother, when I tell you these guys are terrible, these guys are terrible. Like, to the point where Like, I believe that there it goes. 74% of their targets go to wide receivers. For context, 16% go to tight ends. That's 28th in the league. 11% go to running backs. That's 32nd in the league. That's 74%. I think is second in the league. The Eagles, they're only at 60. So it's a heavy reliance on the wide receivers. Now, last week particularly, it's kind of like a lot of what you and I both explained, Parth. 19 targets to Cooper and Puka collectively. Only 8 targets to the rest of the team. You got that's 19 of his 27 targets. They were responsible for 3 of his 4 touchdowns. Puka has 90 yards on 3 of the last 4 games. He's finished. Now, what makes this conversation injury? Yeah, you know,
Bro got back and punched someone in the first.
Yeah, I'm about to say, did he punch somebody?
Yeah,
he got kicked out.
Hey, we gotta get CD in his face. Get part 2 up here.
You know. Now,
no, y'all talking about CD. We gotta get Quell. We gotta get Quell chirping that.
But see, that's the thing. I was just actually about to get to that. Great spin, Pierre. They gonna duck him. I started to write an article on it. I think I didn't focus my direction on something else. I'll see how this article goes, but they gonna duck him, man. To give you perspective, last week I just told you what they did last week and the numbers they put up. Against this Patriots team, only 9 routes ran against Christian Gonzalez. He had 26 coverage snaps. He only allowed it's a bit mixing. It said they say he only allowed 9 yards. Now it could be 19. I would assume since PFF didn't chart this one that he was on zone coverage instead of man there. But he also gave up a 10-yard catch to Puka, but that was the only catch he gave up to Puka. But he gave up 9 yards on the day, according to PFF. Only allowed 3 catches, was targeted 5 times. Like he essentially shut those guys down. Now, go back and what I just showed you about their numbers and how productive they were on the day. It seems like Cooper Kupp seen a lot of the slot, which is no surprise. That's his spot. He loves playing out the slot. It's always been that way. So we should expect a lot of Cooper and Cooper on Cooper crime, what I call it. But yeah, I believe he said he's taking 212 out of 318 possible snaps from the slot. That leaves Puka to be matched up with Quell. Now, I just told you what they did with Gonzo last week. They kind of ducked them, and they picked on, I believe it was Marcus Jones, the other cornerback on the other side, where they just picked on him. Now, don't get me wrong. You could duck Quell if you want to. Darius Slay has not been playing bad. So I'm very intrigued to see exactly what their thought process is and how they try to attack this Eagles secondary, because you can't hide neither one of them. You could put Cooper in the slot, and we trust our Cooper against your Cooper 99% of the time. No, I mean, don't get me wrong. Cooper Kupp is a surefire future Hall of Famer, dominant wide receiver, but it's the future now. That milkshake brings all the receivers to the yard, you know?
What buddy say? I think it was in Hawaii when he say, think about the old days. The old days.
I agree, Quell, because to Biscuit's question there about who spends more time, who Quignon spends more time on, that's what the Rams do. They try to move guys around. That's how the Rams won early on. It's just they were moving guys around. Defenses didn't expect it. But that's the thing about the secondary. There's not really weak points. I think probably the weakest point would probably be if you can get CD in man coverage. I think that's probably what they're going to try to do. Try to get like Kupp in there on CD or Puka. But that's going to be the chess game inside of the game itself.
Oh, he's going to get cooked if they put Cooper on him, bro.
I know.
Oh my God.
It would be ugly. It would be ugly. But hey,
I can see the touchdown now. Back of the end zone. He over here like
he'll have his arms up like my bad. Is it snowing?
Yeah.
In Cleveland?
Yeah. I hope you guys wasn't gambling. If y'all wasn't paying attention to that, y'all shouldn't be gambling, man. Weather been terrible out there.
It is snowing. Holy hell.
Yeah.
All right.
Snowing the snow. They said from what I heard, it looked consistent, but it's not sticking.
Yeah, so that's what it is.
The real bad thing is
there's
the
nothing
wind.
on the
I think
ground.
they said the wind was like almost 18 miles per hour out there. So
it's flying. You could just see the snow going sideways. So it's no snowball though. no snowball.
No.
But
No,
but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think from the Eagles' perspective, I think we'll see a lot of nickel 4-2-5 action just to keep Cooper on the field. Like you talked about, Quell. If last week was the Quinyon game, I think this week is going to be the Cooper DeJean game. McVay, like we've outlined just throughout this episode, he hunts matchups in the slot with Nakua and Cup. So I think there's going to be kind of a proverbial red X with DeJean's name on it. I wouldn't be shocked if we do see some of those like simulated and creeper pressures, kind of schemed up stuff, just because of how bad Matt Stafford has been against pressure. But I don't know. I'm really interested to see what Vic's plan is against this passing attack. Like, does he go more cover 3, cover 6? What are you thinking, Quell? Or you two?
That's the really good question right there, because I mean, he seems to be. He's been trending towards a lot more cover 3 recently. We seen, like I said, we started the year with a whole lot of cover 3 prior to, in the pre-Cooper days. Ever since, the number has slowly dropped off. Now, last week, the amount that they ran was able to launch them back up to the 11th in the league in terms of the amount they run cover 3. So but like we also outlined, they run a little bit of everything that's not cover 2. They never, I don't want to say never, but they hate that coverage for some reason. But a lot of cover 6, a lot of cover 3. I'm interested to see exactly how they will attack this Rams front, because this Rams front, contrary to what you said earlier, Pierre, which is why I said, dang, that's a crazy stat. This is not an explosive offense. They want to attack vertically, but in terms of the amount of 20 plays over 20 plus yards they have on the season, I think it's like least in the league. Like they're worse than the NFL in terms of explosive plays. They are willing, which is my concern.
You think that, not to cut you off, you think that has to do with kind of the turnover that they faced up front along their offensive line? Like, they've dealt with a lot of injuries up front.
Yeah, I think it also has to do with them missing the receivers, right?
That too. I was about to say it was a lot of injury early to start the season, where basically the only thing they really had of consistency was Calvin Williams. And as you slowly but surely try to get your guys back, they seem to have their guys figured out on the outside. Now, offensive line, I believe they're heading to, now you said one of their guys is missing practice with an illness, so that's something to keep an eye on. But I believe up to this point, this might be the best version of the Rams offensive line that we see, specifically after they bench. And I mean, this is something I wanted to harp on too. I guess I can use this as a perfect segue to this version of the Rams offensive line is the best version ever since last week, where they benched Jonah Jackson and put in Bo Lemer. Now,
since last week.
Side note. Yeah. The way bro's name is spelled is crazy.
You ain't from. I mean, come on, boy. You live right next to Louisiana. You know it is.
I mean, like. Yeah, but Lemur is, what is it? Leaux?
No, that's his first name. His last name is Limmer. But
okay.
Is the first name Bo is Beax. I mean Beaux. Kind of like them Louisiana guys, you know.
The Burrow jerseys.
Tigers. Yeah. Go Tigers. But things of that nature. No, don't go Tigers, actually. No go.
I have a distaste for the French.
I cannot believe that you guys let him go to Michigan at that. But different conversation for a different pod. Go to hell. Anyway. Yeah, the offensive line has been playing better, specifically up to last week. Now, of course, we'll have to see what's going on. But
did Jerome Ford just... Okay, I thought he just gave up a safety like that. That would have been ugly.
Now, as long as they can keep the offensive line healthy, or this group, that's the big thing. Now, what's interesting about this is this Rams team, they're getting just like this Eagles team that we talked about. We keep spending a lot of time on Quinyon and Cooper, and hell, Johnny Wilson scoring touchdowns. You got all these rookies contributing. But same thing is going on in this Rams team, man. It's actually really fun to see. You got on the defensive line in general, you got Jared Verse and Braden Fisk.
The other rookie, the other D rookie of the year. That's what it's coming down to.
It's hilarious because this is the second year in a row that it was a Rams-Eagles argument. Last year it was JC and Kobe Turner, and this year now it's Quinyon and Jared. But you got Jared Verse and Braden Fisk Then you look, you got Cam Kitchens in the back, who quietly has 3 interceptions in his last 3 games. He even had a
Bro,
fumble recovery last week.
he bombed the combine. Like, he was horrible.
Watch film, not tights.
Moment of silence for my man.
Quell's looking at his parlay. I know that look. But hey, as we're moving on to their defense, so I was looking it up earlier as well. Because like I said, they lost Aaron Donald, but they haven't been the best defense in the league. But they've been better. I expected them to be a little bit better based on how people have been talking about them recently. But they're the 23rd ranked defense based on TDs allowed and defensive yards average. So the Eagles are number 1, like we mentioned, with 273.1 yards per game on average and 18 touchdowns allowed all year. The Rams are at 23 with 350.6 yards per game and 26 touchdowns allowed on the year. So Eagles are obviously top of the line, but the Rams have a decent defense. I don't think it's anything super special. I think, like Quell said, they have some up and coming players who could make this a formidable unit in the future. But at this point, it doesn't strike fear in my heart, even though the Eagles have just not been playing as well as on offense as I would like them to, and especially the passing game, which we'll get into in a second. But I just think with what we have in the running game and the ability to then get chunk plays in the passing game based on that, which is something we'll get into. Also read Pierre's great article about that on the phillyblitz.com. But yeah, I'm not too afraid of this defense. I think they got some nice pieces, but I think this is the type of defense that, hey, this offense needs to be able to put up points on them. This is not like some top 10 defense. This is a defense where you got to be able to score as well.
Yeah, so the way I look at it, kind of like you guys have outlined, since losing Aaron Donald, they've kind of undergone a sort of, I guess, changing of the guard. But just from a philosophy standpoint, they're extremely aggressive up front. They generate a lot of pressure. I know that pressure. Yeah. Oh, the most. Oh, okay. The most. They generate the most pressure.
Jared Verse has been eaten.
Yeah. I know they run nickel, this was kind of shocking to me, but they run nickel at the least amount in the league. They're like a heavy base and quarter base defense. They disguise a ton of their pressures. But they do this thing like it's kind of where you would commonly see it in Baltimore or Pittsburgh, where they kind of load up the line of scrimmage with 5-6 guys, and then they drop them out and only rush 4. I know that they've generated third most quarterback hurries in the league per Pro Football Reference, as I have here in my notes. So I think, like you said, Parth is going to be a big day for Jalen and Kellen Moore, just in terms of, the passing game and how they want to operate, play design, and everything like that. As far as their secondary, the way I look at it, they have a ton of guys. No one really sticks out to me. You got guys like Darius Williams, Quentin Lake. I know he can play some safety and nickel. You got Kobe Durant, former Washington Commander, Cam Curl, like you talked about, Quell, Cam Kitchens, who, again, like I said, absolutely bombed at the combine. So him being this good is kind of shocking to me. But just in total, in terms of their secondary, it's kind of a hodgepodge group of guys. I guess that's the way I'd like to explain it. I trust the Eagles' weapons against this team. I think it's kind of similar to the Jaguars matchup, where I said, you don't want them to kind of force anything just because you're confident in your weapons. But like I said, I expect AJ to have a big day. I think it's a game where you want to get him the ball often and early over the middle of the field, utilize the intermediate levels of the field. And I know last year, I'm pretty sure their linebacking core is kind of pretty much the same, but Dallas Goedert, he also had a big game last year. Mm-hmm. So I'd look into how he's going to do this week. Also, I think he's going to have a big game.
It's weird the parallels with the Rams and the Eagles, right? I mean, we both drafted the quarterbacks, right? That was 1 and 2, and then you have the back and forth battles for All Pro in the with Fletch and Aaron Donald. Not really back and forth, but should have been more back and forth. And then now you have all of this with these 2 rookie of the year, defensive rookie of the year competitions. I mean, Carson tore his ACL in LA. I mean, I just saw the video today. I was watching that. Have you guys seen that like British dude who's watching football for the first time?
Yeah,
I was
saw it on
watching
Instagram.
I was watching him
Nah,
react to the Carson
what's his
video.
name?
I don't know his name. I'll have to find the video and send it to you, Quell. But it's just super wholesome. Like he's like, oh my god, that's so crooked. Like he's just like, bloody hell, mate. Like this is like crazy. I'm like, all right, like, he's appreciating it.
Wait, bro, I've never heard you do a British accent.
Oh, I got accents on accents. Now I'm not gonna do it on live.
Come on, man. You know who you're talking to. That's Parth, brother.
Brother.
You can do everything.
I got accents on accents. Anything. But
Wait. Give me like,
brother, we are
German.
live. I'm not. You trying to get me canceled? Hey, give me your best accent on live. Yeah, call me later, bro. What are we doing here? Do your accent on live. British is the only one you can get away with, bro. But like, like I might be a little Australian, well, that's about it. Jordan Mailata. But
down under.
From the land down under. Boomerangs. Crocodile hunter. All right, I'm done. But it totally lost my train of thought. But yeah, it's weird. The parallels with these two teams. That's what I was talking about. The Carson video. Man, watching those old videos sometimes hurts, bro. He was him.
Fire. He was down them,
He
boy.
was him.
I seen somebody say he might have broke Nick Foles' touchdown record that game. The way he was crazy, he was going against them.
And I still will never forget. Like we see him like dive for the end zone, and it's like, oh god, like his knee gets up, throws the touchdown. I'm like, all right, he's gonna be okay. He's gonna be okay. He was not okay. That was it. It was a great time in history, and I was just watching that video. I was thinking about it. I was like, dude, kids in 20 years are going to watch Carson Wentz highlights and be like, yo, what happened? Like, he was nice. It's going to be, it'll be interesting in hindsight. But sorry, that was a little bit of an aside.
Ain't nothing wrong with a good bit. We're history reminiscing, man. So.
All right. Who's going to give the Eagles the most trouble? All right, let's get into this question, and then should we get into some predictions?
We still got to touch on the passing offense.
Yeah. So let's go with the passing offense, and then we'll get to this question after.
Yeah, so I mean, I think if you're on Twitter, you're plugged into national media, you watch NFL Live, Good Morning Football, heard with Colin Cowherd, all those shows. That the consensus conversation around the Eagles offense is, I guess I'll put it, lack of consistency in their passing game. Like, if you look at the rushing offense over the past couple of games, I'm pretty sure they're number one rushing attack in the league. But the passing offense is kind of what's holding them back. In my article today, I kind of
nice. I mean, it's not nice. It's a bit disrespectful way to put it. I mean,
yeah, I don't want to. It's not a thing where it's necessarily bad, but I'll say if you're Jeff Lurie, they aren't giving you the most bang for your buck. It's just inconsistency. I think that's the main problem with it.
It's not as good as it could be, and that's where the problem lies, right? Like, it's not like it's a bad passing offense by any means. Like, they're a middle of the field by the metrics passing offense, but you have Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, AJ Brown. You shouldn't be middle of the road, and I think that's where this conversation comes from. It's not that they're bad; it's that they should just be better.
Yeah. I think a huge key for them, like I talked about, their rushing attack is number one in the league right now. But I think a huge, thing they can do is just to, I guess, kind of utilize how they're being defended or played as a run-first team to their advantage in terms of how they can operate as a passing offense. Like I outlined in the article, just using more of the play-action passing game, quick passing game, which they've done more over the last 3-4 games. And they're, among the league's best in terms of success rate when operating out of play action, both in shotgun and from under center and pistol. So I think it's just, again, it's the consistency factor. I think that it is, like I said in the article, it's just establishing more, I guess, synergy between Jalen and Kellen and kind of finding the mesh point between what they both do well, what they both, want to be.
I think we'll continue to see that as they continue to grow together. And you mentioned it. I edited your article this morning. Now I can't remember it, but I can't remember if you mentioned the play action rates and how they've kind of been increasing. We talked about this in our group chat where the Eagles' rate of using play action on was it first down specifically, or was it just in general? On first down has increased over the last couple of weeks. Beginning of the season they were very run heavy offense on first down, and recently they've been taking more and more play action shots. I think that is a byproduct. I don't think it's like you were like, maybe they've just been planning this, and like, I think it's like half and half. I think it's a byproduct. I think it's really just like they're more comfortable. They've been running the ball more. Now defenses expect them to run the ball more. The correct tendency breaker is to go for a play action pass. And I just think that's what we're seeing. And that's what we need to see. That we were asking for that early in the season. We were like, where's the play action game? So I just think it's really refreshing to see. And I think they should continue to utilize it because it's working for them.
Exactly.
I mean, over the first few weeks, they ran the ball on first down at, I think, probably the highest clip in the league.
Literally, I'm about to say
yeah. And I think it's because
they ran it so much, they're still last in the league in terms of first down pass attempts or pass percentage.
And you said this, Quell, but they faced a lot of kind of light boxes, and I think it's because early on in the season, their offensive philosophy was legitimately just explosives down the field to AJ and Devontae, right? So, again, they faced a lot of light boxes because teams knew, they're just going to try and throw it down the field. They're so focused on, hunting explosives, and versus now, with as dominant as they've been on the ground, it's kind of making teams defend them a different way. But, again, now it's kind of about marrying the two, the run and the passing game, and kind of building off of how teams are defending you in the run game and incorporating that in your passing game.
And that right there is the big thing. Like when I was looking into doing my research for it, I see the Eagles. This Eagles offense is 16th in the league in terms of play action usage per drop back. So again, middle of the pack, much better than where we started at. We're getting slowly but surely closer to this marriage. Now, the problem with them being 16th is they have the third highest success rate on such passes at 56.8%. So they're successful in play action. They're just not doing it at the rate that we would like them. And I mean, I don't want to say not at the rate we would like them. This middle of the pack is pretty good because, I mean, it's like a fine balance between let the run cook, let the pass cook. Let's do a little bit of both. But just when you see how successful the offense can be when you predicate the offense around it, it's to give you some context at it. They're 14th in the league when they don't use play action at 40.9%. They're coming off a game against Washington. Now I wonder how much of this was just them historically having matched up against Dan Quinn and knowing what he likes to do, and just this kind of, like you said, slowly trying to get this to become the bread and butter of the offense. But last week they were coming off a matchup against Washington when they had play action dropbacks on a season high 41.2% of those snaps. So we getting closer and closer to where we want to be in terms of utilizing the play action. But I mean, like you said, Parth, tendency breakers, just trying to keep teams honest, to be fair.
Do you have the success rate on the just straight dropbacks?
Yeah, without play action, it's 40.9. That's 14th in the league.
Okay. So where are they in terms of how much they run it? So we were 16th in the league in terms of play action, third in success rate. How many, where are we in terms of how much we use the drop back game? Do you have that?
What you mean?
So if we're using
just straight drop back passes,
right? If play action is 16, we're 16th in the league. Okay, so it's 14th for both.
No, 14th. No, for the success rate. I didn't have the number for the success rate in terms of without the play action. I just had how much they do it.
No worries. Yeah, I was just wondering because when you see statistics like that, right? I also just start thinking, are they more successful because they haven't had as many attempts for the play action game? Is that why it's so high? But I also tend to
think Brock Purdy conversation.
Right. But I also just tend to think that the Eagles just are going to find a lot of success baseline off of play action just because of how the team is built. So Yeah, I think that's a pretty accurate stat. So we got one more question, and then we'll
Wait,
move
but
on.
also wait, as a last point, and Fran Duffy brought this up on the PHLY pod, but I think the most important factor, not outlined this in an article, but the most important factor in tying all of this together is utilizing kind of pure progression reads that kind of marry all of these things together, right? So again, it's like I said in the article, it's allowing Jalen and Kellen Moore to kind of find synergy between what the design of the play is and where the ball's supposed to go, right? And they've shown the ability to do it. Like if you look at the Saints game, a lot of the crossing concepts, I think it was a post crosser concept that they had, or against Green Bay week 1, the post what was it, post wheel, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they did the same thing against
Saquon touchdown?
Jacksonville. Yeah. And they did the same thing against Jacksonville. So like they've shown the ability to kind of allow Jalen to go through reads, whether it's off of play action or whether it's just a straight drop back game versus just them just, dropping back and hunting explosives.
Mhm.
Like again, I think it's just them kind of finding the ability to be a more well-rounded and like functioning offense rather than again just being tunnel vision as they do at times and hunting explosives downfield.
Let the game come to you.
I
Yes.
must ask. I know we keep adding questions. It's the last question before we get to that final question, but I must ask. So we see how successful the Eagles' running game has been this year. It's kind of a look ahead point. We can have more detailed conversation about this in the off season, but assuming that Kellen Moore is retained, we get Jalen Hurts year 2 in the Kellen Moore offense. We understand what Jalen Hurts looked like year 2 in the Shane Steichen offense, how Jalen Hurts typically doesn't have these opportunities to play in the offense consistently. What does the offense look like when the passing game, quote unquote, catches up to the running game? When Jalen,
greatest show on turf, baby.
With Jalen
Like,
and Kellen
actually-
are kind of on the same page in terms of, like you said.
I actually think it would look like the greatest show on turf with the way that the running game can just move people. If you can capitalize in the passing game off of that, how the hell is somebody supposed to defend you? Like, just honestly, because even if you can out scheme them somehow on offense, we have the talent to still
You can't out talent them.
Like there's just so much talent, and that's the issue with these types of teams is that there's so much talent that usually can't get it all married. But if you can get it married, man, the sky is the limit.
That's what made San Francisco so good last year.
Mhm.
Is because you had all that talent and everybody being in the perfect sequence of places at the perfect time. Is like, well, what do you do about it? And I mean, just to encapsulate what this circumstance is like for the Eagles, I'm pretty sure when you guys said we're going to out talent everybody, you guys were talking about Saquon, AJ, Devonta, Dallas, Jalen. I'm not sure. I'm sure we've all seen it, but if just in case you haven't, I'm sure if you guys seen the chart that came out today in terms of how successful offensive linemen are when they were left on islands and how successful the Eagles offense is because they are able to leave Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata just out there, let them cook and know that you could allocate help anywhere else if you needed to. It's just like, yo, this team, we have conversations like this. And I mean, I heard somebody say it on one of those ESPN talk shows earlier this week, I believe it was, where it was like, man, you watch this team play football sometimes, and I mean, you kind of forget until they remind you when they flex their muscles a little bit how well built this roster is from top to bottom, man. Just dumb talented players across the board.
Absolutely. One of my best friends lives in Chicago, and he's like a big Bears fan and everything, and so he's just miserable all the time, right? And just Chicago sports in general. And I was just thinking about it, I was like, that's gotta suck, dude. But then I was like, if he was born 30 years earlier, he would have lived through just some of the greatest times in Chicago sports.
Man, he'd have seen Walter Payton. Could nobody tell him nothing?
Brother, MJ too. And I'm just thinking about it. I'm like, dude, what is life gonna be like for Philadelphia sports in the future? I pray it stays good. Because the thing about the Bears is they also have bad ownership. But like, dude, losing a guy like Jeff Stoutland in the future, whenever it happens, like
it's gonna suck.
Dude, like we take our offensive line play for granted, and we appreciate them still, but we still take it for granted because they are just so damn consistently good. It's amazing.
I'll push back on you a little bit, just
really?
a little bit. You know me, just play devil's advocate. It's not like when the offensive
Wait,
line
bro, if I had
it wasn't good.
$1 for every time he said
if I
that.
had a
bro,
dollar
I
for
wouldn't
every
be on this
time Quell
podcast.
said, just to play devil's advocate.
Because I mean, I want to agree with you. I mean, you're not wrong. I'm very intrigued with post Jeff Stoutland looks like. At the same time, I mean, I don't want to imagine it, but it's not like the team with Howard Mudd was a bad offensive line team.
No, it wasn't.
Like,
but we've
quality,
taken this
especially-
high level of offensive line play, dude. It doesn't matter if we have like 3 guys injured and we just have subs in. Like,
yeah, okay,
we expect the
respect
standard
that.
of offensive line play where it's just like
It's not
I
normal.
respect
it's
that.
otherworldly stuff. Like, he's a Hall of Fame coach, right?
Like how we say that we joke about it during the preseason, but we sit here and say our second team offensive line could be first team offensive lines on other teams. Like, it's really like that.
Yeah. So Jeff Stoutland appreciation right there. So we got 2 more questions before we head out of here and give a little bit of give our predictions. So first question, and let's just answer this one quickly. We don't need to go into it too much because I think we're all going to have the same answer. Hardest game in the next, who's going to give the Eagles the most trouble in the next 5 games? It's pretty clearly the Carolina Panthers. I mean, they are.
Bryce Young has heated up.
Juggernaut. Unstoppable force meets the immovable object.
Keep pounding.
No, but I think it's the Ravens. I think
that's a crazy slogan.
Keep pounding.
Keep pounding is nuts, dude. Yeah. It's like about a drum. I'm like,
insane,
all right, like, couldn't you go with like keep drumming or like, beat it?
And then they say it in the stadium. Keep pounding. And I mean, it's crazy. We should laugh at this because I could have sworn this was for somebody that had something happen to him or something like that. But
that's crazy.
All right, nice knowing you. This is the second time I'm getting canceled on this podcast, bro.
Our apologies.
Me and Pierre got leeway.
Did not know
you
that.
gone. But
oh my god,
did not know that.
Honestly, if you ask me quietly,
devil's advocate's back.
Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Ravens matchup is going to be tough. How do we? It's going to be more cinema than tough, if you ask me. Because I'm intrigued to see how the hell are you going to stop Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. That's just not an everyday task. And any team that's tasked with the opportunity to do that, I pray for you.
Opportunity
don't
is
wish
crazy.
that was on my worst enemy.
It's not an opportunity. That I would dread that, brother. I do not want to tackle Derrick Henry.
Like, bro,
it didn't have to chase Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, he retired JOK, dog. That is
they say he might not ever play again.
Yeah,
bro. And the crazy thing is, I watched the hit. He bounced off of Derrick. It wasn't even like Derrick trucked him. He bounced off of Derrick. Like, he is so just terrifying, dude. Like, oh my god.
It's I don't know, man. Just shout out to JOK, man. I don't know if you guys.
I know, man. And that was a Philly Blitz guy. That was a Philly Blitz guy.
JOK guys.
We were all big on him.
But
yeah, I think that's a good point. Steelers
the defense, man. That's what stands out to me. I mean, I think the Ravens offensively they give us a little trouble. But we got Vic Fangio. Well, you guys know the meme that I love to say. I mean, bit concerning, but I packed that thing too. So he come around this way, he will get clapped. But the Pittsburgh Steelers, I don't think we've played a defense that good this year. So I'm intrigued to see how exactly, because I think that's the one game where the Saquon button won't be there.
I think we'll struggle on offense. I think you're right, but I'm pretty confident in our defense versus their offense because
not against Mr. Unlimited,
dude. We got Quinyanamo Bay. All right, Pickens is going to jail, buddy. He's not coming out. You just watch their offense and they just have nothing, and then it's just like, oh, Russell Wilson's just going to start hitting like 6 go balls, like, and it's just that's the game. And so it'll just be interesting.
It'll be fire against fire.
Right,
that's literally our offense, and that's literally they want to run the ball and throw
watching
it far.
Russell Wilson is
want to run the ball and
Jalen Hurts in 20 years, like they're in like 10 years. Is it Jalen Hurts? Like it's hard to not think it every time I'm watching it. So AFC North has been good this year, man. It's a
movie, man. Even
damn good division, and we've had to play all of them.
They've been.
We had to play everyone. So that'll be interesting. So the last question I had for you guys before we get to the prediction, because I feel like we have to cover it. We've been doing a temperature check for Nick Sirianni. Is it time for a temperature check for Jake Elliott?
No. Well, only reason we don't have a temperature check for Jake Elliott. Actually, shout out to Jake. I heard he went 4 for 4 in practice today. But
I don't give a damn about practice.
Only reason, look, practice makes perfect, man. You got to practice how you play.
Practice?
You're an athlete.
Talking about practice?
Oh, man.
Not the game.
I walk right into that. But, I mean, only reason I'm not concerned about Jake is because I keep telling you what my big gripe with the situation is. Last year, we went to Jake in every situation that we could. Jake got us out of a whole lot of stuff. This year, it's like we doing everything we can. And, I mean, despite all the I can and will do to defend Nick Sirianni, that is where my line gets drawn. Let my kicker kick. Like, at some point, you got to take those points when they're there. Not just because those are easy points, but because how do you expect somebody to come through for you when they don't take these kicks? Like you just said, Parth, practice is practice.
No, you're right.
But when you got to take this 57-yard field goal in a game and he ain't kicked it all year because you want to keep going for it, what we going to do?
Absolutely. I think that's totally valid. It just sucks to see him miss 2, and it's just like, damn. And it's hard for kickers, dude. It's hard. The yibs, so much of it is mental. And it's weird, man. All these kickers are missing across the league, dude. I mean, the best kicker is
even
Boswell.
Justin Tucker.
That's what I was about to say. Justin Tucker is no longer the most accurate.
I almost called him Young Ho. Oh my goodness. Young Way cool.
Time out for a second. Justin Tucker is no longer the most accurate kicker in NFL history. The most accurate kicker in NFL history, Eddie Pinheiro, baby. Eddie Pinheiro.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
But I heard. I don't remember which game it was. I heard them say it, but I was like, did he misspeak? Is that real?
No. Yeah. I mean, Justin missed like 3, bro, last game.
Yeah.
The kicking game is tough, man. The percentages,
the only
like
kicker that was good, and he missed the kick today is Chris Boswell. Like,
did he miss?
Even Brett Maher missed the kick. Brett Maher ain't missed the kick in who knows how long. Like, kickers are just in a drought right now.
Well, not Boswell last week. My boy won his fantasy matchup because Boswell gave him like 24 points, bro.
Me too. Shout
Crazy.
Out to a real one.
He's had multiple games like that too. He's had multiple like 20-point games as a kicker.
When I seen that, I signed them.
All right, let's get our predictions and get out of here. We're at like an hour and 15 minutes. Y'all can listen to that.
Want to go first?
I'll go first. I'll go first. I'm gonna be a little bold here. I'm gonna go with Eagles 27, Rams 13. I think we can do something similar to what the Dolphins did on them. I think, like you mentioned, Pierre, I think we could just see a lot of exotic pressures, not necessarily just like the D-line, but bringing in pressure from different places, just trying to muddle up the picture. Like we talked about it. If you can pressure Matthew Stafford, you can shut down their offense, and that's going to be the name of the game. I think they're going to just have them in hell, and then I think the offense is going to be able to score points. I don't know if it'll be like a 35-point outing, 30+ outing, but I just think they'll do enough. And if you do the math on the on my score there, I'm betting on Jake Elliott to make his comeback and to get back in the groove of things. So 27-13. That's my prediction.
Yeah, so I trust the Eagles defense. Since the bye week, they've been the best defense in the league. Like we talked about, the rushing offense, number 1 attack in the league, passing offense, they're slowly but surely finding their way. I expect, Vic Fangio to do Vic Fangio things in this game. But like I said, this is the toughest offensive personnel that they faced to this date this season. So I think I'm gonna go Eagles 28, Rams 24.
That's interesting. I can intrigue. I can dig it. See, for me, it comes down to, will the Rail Rams team please stand up? Who are you?
Please stay sitting down.
I mean, I don't think whoever, even if they stood up, I mean, games ain't played on paper, so it got to get taken place on the field. But even if they stood up, I don't think they got enough juice to run with this Eagles team, at least how currently stated. I just want to know, who are you though? Just as a football fan, who are you? Are
That's
you a
exactly what
lot
every Rams
closer?
fan is saying too. I mean, I was reading articles about the Rams. They're all like, what Rams team is going to come out against the
Right.
Eagles?
Are
So,
you the team that scored 15 points against the Dolphins? And don't get me wrong, Dolphins inside the top 10 in terms of yards. It's like, I think they ninth in the
I'll give you the
Vikings are
exact.
10th. But
Dolphins are
even
9th.
then, yeah, they ninth in the Dolphins. I mean, the Vikings are 10th. But even when you guys know, we've had this conversation before, the eye test. Like when you watch the Dolphins defense and when you watch the Vikings defense, we've watched the Vikings defense torture your favorite quarterback all year long. And the Dolphins defense, I mean, it's been a big up and down, but they've been a reason that they've stayed in games. It probably would look a little better if their offense was healthy, but you know, but just in general, are you closer to the team that scored 15 against the Dolphins or 30 against the Vikings?
Mm-hmm.
Because that team that scored 30 against the Vikings, that team ain't no joke.
Right.
The team that scored 15 against the Dolphins, I don't think they got a chance on Sunday. So now, of course, like I mentioned earlier, you talk about a Rams team that has the defense has allowed under 23 points in 5 straight games. Eagles scored 26 points in 5 straight games. On the other side of the ball, the Rams have scored 26 points in 3 of the last 4, while the Eagles defense has allowed under 19 in 5 of the last 6. It's like good against good right now. If you ask me, I'd take our defense against their defense. I mean, even if you took the worst metrics of it, the Rams defense have allowed under 23 points. The Eagles defense have allowed under 19 points. 23 is more than 19. So I'd say the Eagles, they'll get close to that 26. Eagles 24.
What you doing? We're lose?
Rams 10. No, I just don't
Okay.
think the
Okay.
Rams
I
gonna
see.
score.
You were saying Eagles 24, not Rams 20. Okay, I see what you're saying. 24-10.
Q-tips before we get out of here.
Q-tips, man. The lines, the Vegas trying to blur out the lines for you guys right now. They're actually not active because they're trying to figure out is Devonta Smith going to play. So as soon as we get lines posted, I'll get a Q-tip to you guys. Now I do have one Q-tip because Denzel Washington say I'm from around the way. I am leaving here with something. But if I had to get you one Q-tip, it'll be. And this might be history. This might be the first and only time you get a Q-tip on the opposing team. Matthew Stafford, under whatever his rushing attempt is. He has not taken a rushing attempt all year long. I promise you, when I seen that stat, I was like, book it. I'm betting it. Lock. That's my lock of the week.
What was his rushing yards at? I'm actually curious.
I think it's at 0, brother. He hasn't scrambled all year long. Like his scramble rate is at 0.0. He's 36 out of 36 quarterbacks.
Bro's a statue.
It's been crazy.
That's nuts, dude. Not even once. Just stay behind the line no matter what.
But that's because the ball is getting out 0.2 if he can.
Right.
Don't get me wrong.
He's looking to pass
his fair share of sacks, but they've kept him clean 3 of the last 4 games. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, the Eagles defense, they've kind of been rocking up on the sacks lately. So we'll see. But I know dang well he ain't moving. He ain't going nowhere. Get you a free $1.
We'll see George on Georgia crying, baby. Jalen Carter is gonna toss him like a rag doll.
And sometimes I forget that he went to Georgia. That's a good pool.
Yeah.
All right, we're almost at an hour and 20 minutes. We're gonna make these also announcement. We're gonna make these streams a regular thing. We've decided that for all of our pods, we will now turn them into regular live streams, and then we'll release them as pods later, the next day. So yeah, get ready for TPB streams every week. But yeah, thank you to all 116 of you that has tapped into the stream. Again, as always, it truly means a lot. If you're listening to this on Friday, on whichever podcast stream platform you're listening on, be sure to leave us a like and a review. And yeah, we're trying to get more or get back active with writing content on the website, putting out reels, again, the streams. So get a ball in motion, man.
Everything you're putting out. Like Parth say, Use your mama phone, your grandma phone, your cousin phone, your best friend phone. Use Parth's phone, honestly. He wouldn't mind.
Come grab it. I'll give you my password if you come get it.
Yeah, but as always, thank you everybody that tapped in. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Go Birds. Ram down.